welcome to this week's live weekly warm-up, where I go over a warm-up exercise for you to implement into your weekly warm-up routine and see what kind of results you can get. So this week we're going to be doing another technique exercise. Remember, there's the 3-step warm-up that I believe in, which is long tones where you get a great sound, technique where you work on moving your fingers in a precise way while continuing to maintain that good sound, and then articulation where you add in the tongue motion and work on moving your tongue and shaping the notes, of course, while maintaining that great sound. So in this technique exercise that we're going over today, there's actually going to be a little bit of a bonus, little bit of music theory lesson in here as well, because we're going to be going over simple arpeggios. So you need to know what an arpeggio is and how to play it before I demonstrate what to focus on with the clarinet playing. Remember, the warm-up isn't so much about the music you're playing. You can play all kinds of different musical patterns and focus on the same clarinet playing things, and it's those clarinet playing things that are really important and where you will really get the results and see the improvement in your playing. So what is a simple arpeggio? It's just a straightforward arpeggio where we play the first note of the scale, the third note, the fifth note, and then the octave, and that's a 1-octave arpeggio. We're also going to do it for 2 octaves, so you can hear like multiple octaves of it, and it basically just repeats the same thing. So it is important to know your major scales in order to do this. So make sure that you know, like if we're playing in C major, the first note's C, then D, then the third note's E, then F, then G, so the fifth note's G. So for the C major arpeggio, we will play C, E, G, and then C again. And that's the most straightforward, simple arpeggio. If you know all your scales, then you can play the first, third, and fifth note of all the scales and play arpeggios in all of the keys. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that really quick. And I'm going to do 2 octaves of that. So we'll play the first, third, fifth, and then an octave, and then the third and fifth, an octave above that. So we get 2 octave versions of it. I'm also going to do it where I go through the keys starting on low E and then going up chromatically. So I'll play E 2-octave arpeggio, F 2-octave arpeggio, F sharp 2-octave arpeggio, and so on. And maybe I'll go up to maybe around C or so just for the demonstration's sake, but you can do this through all 12 of the keys. This is just one way I like to do it. You can also do it like going around the circle of fifths. So you do a C major arpeggio, then a G major arpeggio, then a D major arpeggio. You could also go around the circle of fourths, which is very popular, like the very popular close-say scales and the Langinus arpeggios go with the circle of fourths, where it's C major, F major, B flat major, and so on. If you don't know how the circle of fifths works, be sure to check out the Quick Start Clarinet YouTube page. Just a few weeks ago now, I did a video explaining the mythical circle of fifths and sort of simplifying it and teaching you how to use it. So check out that video if you're unsure how the circle of fifths work. But other than that, let's go on to demonstrating this. So I'm going to start on the low E and do a 2-octave arpeggio. And I should say, like all technique exercises, we want to do it with our metronome. So let me turn on my metronome so that I can do it really precisely in time and be precise with the fingers. When I see Colleen in the comments, the video's having some issues. Maybe try refreshing your page. Hopefully the internet isn't being too weird, and hopefully the replay on YouTube should have things smooth out if it's continuing to be an issue. But thanks for watching anyways, Colleen. Hopefully it smooths out. Cool, so I have my metronome going, and I'm going to do these 2-octave arpeggios. So the way that I like to do these is to do them as triplets. That usually lines up very well if you're doing 1 octave or 2 octaves. It makes all the beats line up evenly and works nicely. And it's easy to go through smoothly thinking triplets, playing through all the notes. You may have also noticed it was on B major. I repeated it a few times and even just practiced going down a few times because I wasn't really happy with how my fingers were moving from note to note. So again, it's not about playing through these notes and being like, yep, I played through all 12 keys of arpeggios today, so I did my practicing. It's about making sure that you're doing it really, really well and that your fingers are moving smoothly through and that everything's a really good, high quality clarinet playing. You may have also noticed that I stopped on just C. That was just for demonstration purposes. I would continue to go to C sharp, D, D sharp, or E flat, and then maybe E again for this next one, and that would be all 12 keys. But again, it's sort of up to you what order you want to do this in to get through all of the 12 keys. And again, it's not so important that you play through all of the 12 keys. If that seems a little intimidating to really do every single key every day in your warm-up, you can do just 1 or 2 keys, but really dig into the details and really make sure that you're confident and comfortable moving from note to note and getting great clarinet sound and playing through that. And you'll still get tons of benefit from this exercise. The only real difference between doing all 12 keys versus doing 1 key is that when you do the 12 keys, you're practicing it on more notes and practicing learning more of those different keys and getting familiar for when you need to play in those different key signatures. But you can get just as much clarinet benefit out of just doing 1 or 2 keys, really. One last little tip that I want you to really focus on, because in this we're moving bigger intervals rather than just like a scale where we're just going 1 step at a time. In the arpeggio, we have some bigger jumps. So I want you to be really careful that that's all going really smoothly and you're not getting anything like maybe where notes are like jumping out or like some notes aren't quite speaking. That's another really good clarinet playing issue that we want to smooth out, keeping that air going all the time so everything's really smooth, keeping our finger motion really relaxed and precise so everything comes out right on time. So I hope that's been helpful. This was a fun little duo theory lesson and clarinet warm-up lesson. I want to challenge you to do your major arpeggios in your warm-up. If you're really advanced and want to take this to like the next level and feel really good about your major arpeggios, maybe try doing minor arpeggios where we play the 1st, 3rd, and 5th, but from the minor scale rather than from the major scale. It's the same as the major arpeggios, but the 3rd is lowered a half step if you're not sure how that works. But I hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to hearing how this benefits you in your playing. Arpeggios are very common in music, and it's great to be comfortable with how the notes work for all of your arpeggios. And I wish you the best of luck in practicing this and getting the clarinet to sound great going through all of your arpeggios. And one last little thing before we finish up. Next week I will be out of town, so there won't be any weekly live warm-up for next Monday, which would be March 9th. But I'll be back the following week. Yeah, and I'm glad this was helpful for you, Colleen. Hopefully the video smoothed out. Yeah, and the arpeggios are plenty to work on to practice to get all of those notes, especially if you do all 12 of the keys. So have fun with that, and have fun everybody else who may be watching this or watching this after the fact. So without further ado, thanks for watching, and I won't see you next week, but I'll see you in 2 weeks.